basically rave about my gynecologist, Dr. Raksha Manjunath from Raksha Hospital. Let's start from the beginning. I did not have the best luck in finding a gynecologist that I liked. Now, the first consultation I had with the gynecologist was in a local clinic. One of my cousin sisters went there to get her periods regulated, and she got an injection because of which apparently she got pregnant earlier. I didn't do my research properly. My mom nudged me and I was like, "Okay, let me do it." She asked, I went to her, I don't even remember her name at this point. She asked me if my periods was regular, and mine was definitely regular, and she gave me a vitamin E injection. She said that this will help me with the pregnancy and ovulation, and that I should be getting pregnant in coming 3 months. I was like, cool. Fast forward to the next month, I didn't get my periods, and the next month I got the most painful periods ever, and a month after that I didn't again get my periods. So my periods was irregular. I did not know what to do. I went back to her. She said that she will give me another injection and that I should feel better. And at this point I was like, sorry doctor, I do not trust you. I don't think that's gonna happen. And I just stopped. Next, this was during the pandemic 2020. Chunk and I were, of course, trying for pregnancy, and we did not we were not getting anywhere. But I started thinking I was pregnant because I kept missing my periods for a couple of months. So we went to Columbia, now Manipal Hospital in Mysuru. We saw a gynecologist. Again, I don't remember her name. This doctor came recommended because one of my other cousin sisters was seeing her, and apparently there was a good review. So TK, I went there while pandemic was on high alert, and like they tested my BP and my BP was high, and the nurse refused to let me in. She's like, you need to bring down your BP, otherwise I'm not letting you in. So I stood outside the hospital for 30 minutes, and then she's like, are you pregnant? And I'm like, possibly, that is why I'm here to see the gynecologist. And she's like, okay, you can go in. And I went there. We waited for 2 hours to see the gynecologist. She took a scan of my ovaries and everything, and she just said that everything looks fine with you. You should do these, you should have sex during this time, blah blah blah, and all that, and we'll see for a couple of months, and if nothing happens, we will start other tests. I said okay, and she gave me medication for 2.5k folic acid and whatnot, but I just didn't have a good feeling about my entire encounter with her, and I wasted all my medications. 2.5k worth of medication I wasted. Like, my medicine just expired. That was so bad. So fast forward to 2021, the pandemic the restrictions reduced, and I was going to Kottakkal Ayurveda Shala for my hair fall and skin pigmentation problem. So while I was seeing that Dr. Arun, and I've dedicated a video for him where I cry about him leaving Kottakkal, Mysuru and going back to Kerala. While we were talking, the thing about the pregnancy came up, and he's like, it's possible that you have PCOS. And I'm like, is that really possible? Because I got a scan done and my gynecologist didn't say anything about it. And he's like, all the symptoms that you're telling direct to that. So I said, okay, what do you recommend? And he's like, I can give you certain medications. You can try that for 15 days. If it works, good. If not, then we can change the medication and see. And at this point, I was like, okay, fine, let's do it. Not a big deal. And I took the medication. I was not having regular periods whatsoever. And later on, I bled for 21 days. It was quite painful. But after that, my periods regulated perfectly. I was getting regular periods. It was not just 3 days, it was proper 5 days and sometimes more than that, and I was feeling better, my weight was fine and everything. So that was when I went to thank Dr. Arun, and he had already left, and I cried about it. But anyway, so at this point I'm like, cool, my PCOS is solved, I'm very happy about it. So what next? So I didn't still have a gynecologist. I did not want to go back to Manipal Hospital because I did not like my experience there. So I said, okay, fine, let's try the other multi-specialty hospital, Apollo. So I go to Apollo, and oh my god, I absolutely hated the entire experience there because it was a herd mentality. So it is an outpatient department. There's a long queue because apparently the gynecologist there is very famous and everything. She has two assistant doctors. One is in her late 30s and the other in is her early 20s, or I don't know, she looked very young, and she is in an enclosed glass, and she just talks to the junior doctors and they tell her and she responds. And at a time there's not one patient who is there, there'll be multiple patients. Some of them will be stripped to their underwear, behind a screen. Oh my god, I absolutely hated it. But since I anyway went there and I paid a consultation fee of $500, I was like, I'm gonna see this through. So while I was there, first of all, when a doctor talks to a patient, isn't it reasonable that they talk to you face to face? But this doctor, the second senior one, was basically facing the desk, and I was asked to sit somewhere in the back and then answer her. I was like, this is so demeaning. I tried to come close to her and she's like, no, you go back and sit down, I can hear you and stuff. And she basically didn't tell me that she was writing down the history, and I was quite verbal about my whole history. I was like, this happened in this year, this happened, then this happened, because I had changed my gynecologist, and then I had also changed the medicine from English to Ayurveda. So I wanted to be quite clear of my whole journey. But this woman didn't seem to be listening to me. And then finally she's like, okay, now you can tell me. And then she turned and I'm like, I already said what I had to. And she's like, cool. And she looked at my Manipal documentation, whatever medicine she had given. She's like, yeah, these look good, you should totally continue them. And I'm like, okay. And yeah, in a couple of months we will again check, you have sex during these times, everything should be fine and stuff. I exited the room or the consultation area, and I'm like, damn, I hated the whole experience. And I initially thought it was just because I was a new patient or a potential patient, but there were women who were like 5 months, 7 months, 9 months pregnant, who were just waiting in the waiting area exactly like I did for more than an hour just to see one of the gynecologists. There was no special treatment or anything. Like, I mean, she's your patient. Should she not be given preference over others? I don't know. I was like, nope, no way. I'm not going to Apollo at all. Whatever Apollo idea that I had, being a multi-specialty hospital, did not reflect in the gynecology department. So I'm like, bye-bye, that's it. And then I re-looked at the medication that Manipal doctor had given and the suggestion, and I was like, okay, this is just iron tablets and a few other things that's gonna help with the pregnancy. But by the time the medicines, like I said, had expired, so I was contemplating on whether to refurbish them. At this time, I had come over to my mom's place, and my neighbor suggested that there's a new hospital that has opened up called Raksha Hospital, and that I should take a look. This was previously called Akshaya Nursing Home, and this Dr. Vimala, was a very famous gynecologist. 2 of my cousins, actually 3 of my cousins, have taken birth in that nursing home, and apparently she sold it off because of her old age, and a bunch of new doctors had taken over. I was quite skeptical about it. I was like, I'm never gonna find a gynecologist I like. I don't know what I'm gonna do. But anyway, because my neighbor insisted and my mom said, why don't you just give it a try? You looked at multi-specialty hospital, maybe this would be your lucky charm. I said, okay, fine, I'll do it. And on February 26th, I went to see my doctor. First encounter, and that's it, मैं फिदा हो गई. That doctor, she is absolutely amazing. Number one, when I went in February, there was no crowd. I was one of the few patients who were sitting there. This is like a very small hospital, so of course I didn't expect it to be very, like a multi-specialty hospital, but it was pretty good. The receptionist was very friendly, the nurses were very friendly, the doctor herself was amazing, and the first visit, and that said solidified in my brain that yep, she's gonna be my gynecologist. She was very receptive to what I had to say. She listened to my history properly, and Shank was with me, so I was even more comfortable. Both of us had a lot of questions, and she answered all of them. And then she was quite candid about, like my journey or whatever. She said that okay, it seems like you have been trying for 3 years now, and things seem not to have happened. So these are some of the tests that I expect you to take. So there was semen test, and then there was ovulation test, something about my body and Shank's body. So to know that everything is in terms of our reproductive system was perfect is what she wanted to know. So she said once you get your next periods, you come over, and then we will check. I was like, cool, that works for me. And that's it. On the way back, Shank and I were like, Shank was like, do you at least like her? And I'm like, dude, she's amazing, I absolutely love her. She is very respectful, she's very open, and she listens to me. There's this professional exchange, and well, she's very beautiful too. So yeah, of course I love her. And that was the beginning of our relationship. And so this was in Feb 26th, right? I was supposed to get my periods on Feb 10th. I didn't. So Feb 26th, I went to her. So March 10th, I was supposed to get my periods. I did not get. So I delayed it. I said, okay, fine, I'll wait for another 15 days because I thought my PCOS came back. I was super scared, but I was feeling very tired and lethargic and whatnot. And I was like, you know what, another week's time, and if I don't feel better, I'm definitely going back to my doctor to check what the hell is even going on. March 17th, I find out I'm pregnant, and March 22nd, on March 18th, I call her up and I say, hi doctor, do you remember this is Maitri? I had seen you a couple of weeks ago. And she was like, yes Maitri, I remember, how are you? And I'm like, I am pregnant. I took a home test and it came positive. And she's like, oh my god, that's what you wanted, congratulations, you can come see me anytime and we'll see how far along you are. Loved her reaction. She was super excited for me, and she was like, I loved her reaction at that time, So on March 22nd, I went and saw her, and that's where my whole pregnancy journey started with my doctor. So I'm gonna give a separate review of the hospital itself, but I absolutely love my doctor. If you are unable to find a gynecologist in Mysuru, I highly, highly, highly recommend Dr. Raksha Manjunath from Raksha Hospital in Siddhartha Layout or Siddhartha Nagar. It was formerly known as Akshay Nursing Home. She's amazing. There's another doctor, Dr. Deepak MS, who is her husband. He's amazing too. I've never had an interaction with him from consultation point of view because it's always Dr. Raksha who saw me. But during my delivery, Dr. Deepak was there, and post-delivery also I interacted with him. He seems to know his stuff. He's absolutely amazing, very friendly, and I do not have any, there's no complaint. I found my gynecologist for life. If I'm in Mysore, it's gonna be her for all my pap smear, hysterectomy in the future, or whatever I have. It's all gonna be her. She's gonna see all my future pregnancies, unless I'm not in Mysore, or maybe I'm outside India. That's the only time I'm gonna change or look for another gynecologist. And if I'm not in Mysore, I'm going to take her opinion and then only find another gynecologist in whichever place that I would go to. Love her, absolutely love her, swear by her, she's amazing. You should totally check her out if you're in Mysore. And yeah, show her some love.
Taking my time, giving to me, pay my